Dracarys! Oh. Hi, welcome to What the Flick. We're here to talk about, what are we on, episode 4?
Four. Which came up on my program guide as just episode 64.
My program guide was in Spanish.
See, we're all screwed up.
I don't know what the hell happened.
It's the hack.
It was crazy. It was craziness. Matt, Meredith, Brett. We are going to talk about a lot of crazy shit that went down in this episode.
Yes.
Right?
So good. It was
all
so
kinds of stuff. All right, so first thing we see is the Lannister army and their loot train, right?
Yeah, love that.
And the minute you see it, you're like, oh man, shit's gonna go down.
Right.
Right? Like you just know it. Like,
Yeah, it gives you the feeling of like the beginning of a train heist movie.
Right?
Yeah, that's what it was. This episode was a train heist.
Right. It's Chekhov's train. You don't show a train in the first act without knocking that train over in the last act.
I didn't know the term loot train until this episode.
Yeah, I thought they just made that up. I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah,
you know.
If it isn't a thing, it should be a thing
should be
now.
a thing.
So their job is to get it from Highgarden to King's Landing.
I think we need to invent a drink called the loot train.
Oh gosh.
You're on that.
I will be.
I'm in.
We'll come back.
And bar
next time.
yourself till you find that.
Yes. All right. So we see that the Lannister army is coming back with all the gold from the Tyrells, and then there's talk that they're going to take all the grain from all of the land because that way they can survive this siege and pay off their debts to the Iron Bank. We see Samwell Tarly's dad, who is a total dick.
Just a harsh dad.
No.
Right?
But Dickon,
landslide of a
however,
man.
with his tiny head.
Yeah, not as much of a dick.
No.
Oh wait, his Dickon?
Yeah.
Dickon.
Why'd they do that?
Because I think it was a play, because George R. Martin names a lot of the characters the same thing, so you had Rickon. So I think they named him Dickon just to be a dick.
What a sweetheart. Someone I saw on Snapchat was just like the scenes between Dickon and Jaime, where like when they're in the same frame together, she was just like, oh God, be still my heart.
And then Bronn complained, Bronn, so we're seeing all this gold get packed up and Jaime takes out this bag of gold, tosses to Bronn, and Bronn, being Bronn, he's like, yeah, okay, great, where's my castle?
Yeah.
Right.
You're Bronn of Blackwater, however,
Right?
from
Like-
wherever shithole you came from.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I like that he's like, their castle.
Yeah.
I would like this castle. It seems like a nice castle.
It's a good castle.
And it seems like Jaime's trying to keep the focus on the war. He's like, listen, you might be just the person who goes from whoever hired you to the end of the job and then waits for something else. But our job is to focus, keep our eyes on the prize, and then afterwards you can have a look at any castle you want. And I feel like Bronn's getting a little uncomfortable with the idea of knighthood versus freelance. The same most full-time
Here's what's
employees
gonna be awesome.
get.
We're gonna see Bronn be the one on the Iron Throne by the end of it.
Oh my God.
No, we're not gonna see that.
But we're also really close to Bronn and Tyrion meeting up again.
Right.
And I'm waiting for that moment. I mean, I saw how Tyrion looked longingly over at his brother Jaime, but really that should have been reserved for Bronn. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I prefer that.
So the question is Bronn kind of eyeing a shift to the other side if the winds carry him that way? Because
depends on
he's
the
like,
money, right?
oh, what am I giving up? Not a castle, I don't really have one.
Yeah.
What am I giving up? The future of having to go whip grain harvesters into shape. That sounds real fun.
Oh, well, we'll see. I mean, the end made me question what Bronn's real, where he really stands.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump to there just yet, but he's the MVP of this season.
All right, so we get to King's Landing. We see this guy from the Iron Bank. And they're, talking like, oh, okay, great. We're actually gonna see you pay your debts, right? Like, oh, nobody's ever paid a lump sum like this before. Like,
We usually have some mercenaries for them.
right? It's like the loan shark, like, oh wait, shit, somebody actually paid? We didn't have to break legs?
Yeah.
Like, that's a new business model.
Right, it's refreshing in that I don't have to worry, but it's also annoying because I'm not just slowly milking them to death over the course of their life.
And then I like how Cersei brings him to her map. Look at my plan. Look at it all laid out.
Right, he's like, you spending money on remodeling areas? On patio remodeling? Is that what our good money is going to?
Well, and I think we may be seeing the groundwork for something going terribly wrong for the Iron Bank because they're gonna be investing in Cersei's plans, right? Like they're all like, no, you want to, we're gonna give you more money and you're gonna have to pay us back. And right.
But are they gonna invest now? Will they?
Well, we'll see. I mean, the gold apparently. So we hear later in the episode, the gold's already made it there.
Yeah.
Gold's in. Even if it wasn't, it would melt and then coagulate into a literal lump sum of gold. They could have just like scooped it up and taken it. You know.
I also feel like with the Iron Bank now feel like they want to go after the people who tried to attack them, or at least their gold, because they only care about one.
Maybe, yeah.
So I mean, right now it seems like, especially when we get to Dragonstone, that they do a really good job of setting up all the stakes and all the decision points and all the factors that go into management of a war. One of the things that is swaying for Daenerys, her priority is like, I keep losing, but for Cersei, it's like, I keep winning.
I keep winning.
Now I'm on the front foot, and now, if that's a good thing, I don't fence, but I'm on the front foot, I'm on the advance, and so now I'm making my pitch to the financiers, look at all my wins. We don't know the consequence
so much
after
winning.
Seeing like, just like.
Get tired of the winning.
Right, and the reason
Cersei never
that
gets tired of the winning.
Sorry, what?
I said Cersei never gets tired of the winning.
Right. But the reason that she had been able to win is because Daenerys was like, I will keep my atom bombs on the shelf and try to do it the normal way. And then now that the heavy artillery has been flown in, literally, it's been intense.
Right. Well, we'll get to that though, right? We have to hold off because next we get the scene that we've been waiting for a lot. Arya makes it back to Winterfell, right? And I love that the two guys are like, fuck off. Yeah, best fuck off.
Why she didn't just stab them? I mean, it's Arya, come on, I mean.
It was really interesting in the post-game discussion that they had, they mentioned that this was like Odysseus coming back and no one recognized him.
Yeah.
That was a great like literary touch.
Yeah, really
which was awesome. And then she like threatens like, look, Sansa finds out you turned me away, you guys are fucked. Right?
And someone who's like, I kill lords. You are the dumbest people in the castle. I could handle it. So she's just kind of, I'll let it pretend for a while until she gets inside, and then she just buggers off.
And then like the less awkward reunion. It was like slightly less awkward than Bran and Sansa.
Right.
But it was the tension between the two of them was just like, oh yeah, I forgot how much these two sisters did not really like each other.
Right. And there's some warmth there, but then there's the line where Arya's like, yeah, I got a list of people I'm gonna kill. And Sansa kind of looks at her like, and like starts laughing. And Arya's like, okay, laugh, fine, you'll see.
But like, think of how much, you always knew Arya was gonna go through some stuff, but both of them came at it with this cavalier, like, I'm a little lady, and or I'm a protected sort, where I'm gonna just, if Arya wants to be a knight, she's gonna become a knight, she's gonna fight, why not? I'm gonna do it, I'm spoiled. And then especially Sansa, who was like, I'm gonna be in a box in a nice little protected area my whole life. Now, they both got their wish, but they got it in the most difficult way possible.
And they both have been through a lot, and they can acknowledge that to each other. And part of that, I think, is the conversation when Arya says, "Did you kill Joffrey?"
Yeah.
And Sansa's like, "No, but I wish I had."
So there is that thing. I also like that there are very few words. They're like, I have a long story, so do I. But it would take words, and we don't use words because we're Starks.
But you know what? The one thing they did truly agree on was how bad that Ned Stark statue looked. It looked nothing like him, and that's been bothering me for seasons now. So I'm really glad that they finally addressed that.
Well, but that was a bleak line, right? Like, well, they should have got somebody who knew his face. Like, everyone who knew his face is dead. Well, except us. Like,
good God.
And Jon.
I always assumed it was just too bright in the room I was watching in, where I was like, I can't really see his face.
No, it was just bad.
So then they go see Bran, who is like, just doesn't care.
No. He's taking that three-eyed raven shit way too literally. He's just like, this is me now, I have no feelings. Though he does put a little arm, he did put his arm on Arya's
we skipped over the scene in Winterfell where Mira leaves, right? Because there's that, we should go back and talk about that. Because we've seen Bran, like early on, Littlefinger gives Bran that knife, which comes up later, and you're like, right? So Littlefinger clearly has some plan with Bran, and they're having the conversation, and then Bran says chaos is a ladder. And I think one of the first times we ever see Littlefinger have this moment of like,
I'm screwed.
Right,
like,
but never. Okay, yes. So the Mira thing, the Mira leaving is really sad. It really pushes home this idea that Bran is no longer Bran.
Right, he's like, thank you. And she's like, thank you. Hodor died. Summer died.
My brother died.
My brother died. Everybody's dead. Thank you. That's the best you got.
You kind of want to say, yes, I know you went to college for a semester. You're not the deepest person in the world now. Oh, you spent this quarter under the tree.
Oh, you were Burning Man. It changed your life.
That is the exact analogy right there.
Right?
Oh,
That's totally it.
That is, right?
I know. I went to Burning Man last year. It changed my life, but not in that way.
Yeah, right. I get that afterwards you'd be a little out of it.
Yeah, but no, I'm just kind of like, I'm over Bran right now. I just want him to be absorbed by that tree, and then he can see everything everywhere, and we don't have nothing here.
But that's the question: is what's the biggest burning question I had is what's Bran's priority?
I know.
With great power comes apparently what kind of responsibility?
Speaking like saying awkward things to your family.
Yes, exactly. Giving a tell to Littlefinger that you have some kind of all-seeing power now. Smart idiot.
But he's the one that can undermine Littlefinger, and we get to see. I want to see that scene where Arya just plunges cat's paw into Littlefinger now that she has it, and I just want that to happen so bad. Right. But Bran, you're just holding back. You're just holding back.
And the line when Mira says you died in that cave, like you also died in that cave, was like, she's kind of right, right? I mean, you wonder with what they've laid, with the knowledge that he has and the awareness and his ability to warg into things, you can't help but think, and I know we've talked about this before, is he going to warg into a dragon?
Smart.
Right? Is he right? And so then the other question is, if a dragon gets killed and the White Walkers, if the Night's King raises a dragon, do you then have the White Walker dragon zombie, and then does Bran warg into that, and that turns the tide back, right?
Right. Have we seen Bran warg into a White Walker yet? I can't think of that. Okay.
So maybe it's off limits. It's under the Night's King's power. I do feel like I'm projecting onto Bran the same thing that Arya went through when she went to the House of Black and White, which is this decision. We are going to give you these amazing powers. Your decision is whether you are going to embrace this power fully in the way in which it was originally designed, or bring your own identity and your own baggage into it, and then have to make this decision of like, but I'm still a Stark and I'm going to fight for one side. Now I feel like the green-eyed raven, the three-eyed raven is one of those things that's on the side of non-ice people. So maybe that's his priority, but that's the one thing I'm most interested in checking.
See, I've assumed that they were just, it could be part of the forest, the children in the forest, or it could be like a watcher in Marvel Comics scenario where the three just kind of watches everything but doesn't really get involved. But yeah, that's what I ultimately, when Arya decided, no, I am Arya Stark, I am not going to be no one, and she claimed herself, that's when she got interesting again for me. And right now I'm frustrated with Bran because I'm just like, dude, oh my God, just stop it. I want to throttle that kid.
Well, so when the sisters are talking to Bran, first we see that scene where again he's Bran and he's not completely there. It's not the homie reunion that we thought we were gonna get. And he says, I saw you at the crossroads, and Arya kind of looks and he says, I thought you were going to King's Landing. And there's that moment where you see a little bit cross his face like, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Like maybe
Or maybe that's tipping that she's going to go to King's Landing still.
Yeah.
No, I think there exists multiple possibilities, and Bran's able to see one of them. But I still think that at least the Stark children might have the ability to
change their destiny.
Yeah, change their destiny.
And Bran still has a little bit of that, like, you didn't finish your training.
Yeah.
Like.
But he does bring up the list, which ultimately, with Sansa realizes, oh wait, there is a lot more going on here than I understand.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I just wish she didn't say something to Littlefinger.
I know.
Just like, hey buddy, I know everything you've ever done. Littlefinger, you see him, he's caught off guard, but he's instantly recalculating.
Yeah.
It's like when you miss a turn on GPS.
All right, so we get to Storm's End. We have that brief scene of Pod and Brienne, which we get later.
Yeah.
We see more of them, but quick tease of the Pod and Brienne roadshow.
They're so
Fine
great.
with it.
I love it.
And then we go to, Dragonstone.
Yes.
Right, and no word from the Unsullied yet. Missandei and Dany are talking about, what's going on with you? Well, many things happened.
It was a nice scene. I like that.
Like many things.
Like, how does that work? You just see Dany thinking about it. Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
The cave that the Dragonglass is in, is that the same cave that Melisandre birthed the smoke baby, one of the smoke babies in?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it was a cave underneath Dragonstone.
I don't know.
But I don't know if it's, I'm sure there's many caves, but.
It's here's what's weird about it to me. I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question to kind of have in your mind as to like makes sense it would be because it seems like it's a center of significance.
I don't think it was.
Yeah, it was just brought up with the group.
No, that was a different spot.
Okay.
Wasn't it great on the way?
Like
there was, but.
No, because that was built up. That wasn't that cave.
All right.
No, that was a different cave.
My question is like, no one's been in here for thousands of years, but it's the first one I walked into to mine dragon glass. Oh, it's been secret. No one knew this, and it's just like Jon Snow's like, I wonder if there's glass in it. Yes, there is.
Yeah.
I just like Jon's like, come into the cave.
Yeah.
So,
like,
I wanted, first of all, when they walked in, I just wanted him to be like, I present dragon glass, and then you knew this was in the center of Dragonstone the whole time, and then to just start playing till I found out I had a heart of glass. I just wanted like da da da, and then they start dancing.
That's gonna be the
dragon glass.
Oh my god. Okay.
They're gonna do it.
No, they're not.
They're
it's
gonna
his
do it.
aunt.
Oh,
no.
they're gonna do it. It's gonna be nasty. I'm gonna love it.
That look he gives her, I'm like, no, that's so gross.
The penny's coming off. Oh.
Listen, that's a step up from Cersei and Jaime.
Okay, fair, but still, it's so. I just hope it's gonna be. I want it to be a Luke and Leia moment where they start almost and then they find out that he's Rhaegar and what's her name's kid, and they're like, oh wait, we can't do this.
They'll find out, and then it's like, oh well, I guess we have to do it now.
Yep.
Right. We're related. Then we're Targaryens. We're blood. Then we have to get together.
Right, because they were talking about how, I wonder, maybe they'll be like, this is gross, and then they'll bring up like, by the way, Cersei and Jaime are closer, and you guys are like, oh, well, in that case.
Yeah, look at how all their kids turned out, and look at how all the Targaryen kids turned out. All that incest did Viserys wonders.
I'm down. I'm down to see it. That's the tagline when my fiance and I watch people on screen together is like, I'd watch that. And I would watch them go crazy on each other.
Okay.
All right.
So, but we see all the petroglyphs that maybe the children of the forest have put in there, and looks like the children and the first men had fought together against the White Walkers. And
they put aside their differences to save the world.
Yeah. The children are all gone, yeah? Hope there's a couple secret ones hiding out somewhere.
Well, there were a couple.
Yeah, we saw them beyond the wall.
Right.
Are they still alive?
Yeah, well, the one girl that brings Bran into the cave,
Okay.
Yeah.
There's so many episodes.
And so then we get the conversation that we expected was gonna happen, which was, sure, I'll come fight, but you gotta bend the knee. And Jon's like,
why is she on this? Can't she just let this go? To me, this is Dany's fatal flaw. She can't seem to just accept to work with people. She wants everyone to almost idolize and worship her because she's gotten used to it from being over in Essos. She's so used to everyone falling to their knees and oh, our savior.
Well, the flip side though is all right, Jon, what are you holding on to? You're a bastard.
I mean, and that's what Missandei tells him essentially. Right. But I feel like Dany needs to learn that there has to be cooperation, not ownership.
Well, I think they're both coming at this in a very similar headspace in that what we hear from Missandei later is that they all but elected her, right? They've chosen to follow her. And I think it's good for Jon to hear that because that's what happened with Jon, right? The Lords of the North have agreed to follow him. And so when he pushes back and says, look, my people are not gonna stand for this, I think Dany, without really saying so, is kind of in the same boat in that her people will, the Dothraki will turn on her. She spent so much time showing them that she can lead and that she deserves their leadership, that to just say, well, half this kingdom I've been promising, because it's less about what, yes, a lot of it's about what she wants, but she's been promising all of her followers, look, we're gonna go over the sea and we're gonna take over this whole kingdom. And then to get there and be like, well, actually, I only have.
Well, and then I think, that's important for Dany to also realize that she can't just give up Westeros to these foreign invaders.
Right.
And obviously there is a good speech about that as well.
I'm sure there'll be some good speech coming.
Yeah. Well, Jon even kind of says so to her when they're on the beach and Dany asks what, and ultimately she's like, I've been following Tyrion's advice, it's bad. Oh, Jon, what should I do? And I'm like, well, why don't you just do what you want for a change?
I always like about her, what I like about her is she asks the question. She doesn't necessarily take the advice, but I like that she's like, Jon, I'm putting you on the spot because not only am I gonna learn maybe some good actionable advice from you, but I'll also learn how you think in battle.
I will, yes, that is a good observation.
She's getting increasingly pissed at Tyrion, right? Like, everything you've told me has been fucked up.
Right,
like,
and
you suck.
And then also just opening it up, be like, how do I know you're not this really elaborately working spy who infiltrates my inner circle and then works to help and benefit the forces of your family?
Right, and then turns to the guys like, look, you put a kingdom together, everybody likes you, what would you do?
You're
and he's
actually
like,
good at battle.
Right, and then he says, sure, I could see you doing that, and I love the speech he gives, which is, people follow you because they thought you were gonna promise them something different, and you go in there and burn everybody, and that's not gonna work so well. And what's great is she listens, right? Like, we see that matters to her.
Still, she still listens.
But what's interesting is Tyrion said similar advice to her earlier. So Jon essentially is backing up what Tyrion said, like episode 2 at Dragonstone, when they decide not to go burn King's Landing. But it's just interesting to see like the way Jon spins it.
And I think that comes up partly because we see where one of Tyrion's failings is that he's very good at politics and he's very good at diplomacy and he's not good at tactics and he's not good at warfare. Whereas Jon and somebody like, you see like, yeah, Tyrion, maybe this war thing you're not so great at.
Yeah.
You are right, on paper, that was a good-ish idea. If those people had no opportunity to make any decisions.
Yeah.
Like if they were just in stone there. I don't know. But yeah, so Dany and Jon, there was a thought that crossed my mind. First is for her past experience with lords, like her insistence on bending the knees, her past experience with lords is like, oh, they, in addition to owning people, will come wear weird masks and represent the old order and try to kill me and everyone that I care about. So that I think is part of the insistence on bending the knee. Now she's on a different continent and what constitutes a lord is somewhat different than it was in like this slavers area.
True.
So that's kind of a cultural issue. In addition to these lords having turned against her family and kicked them out, she definitely needs to learn some kind of compromise approach, even though I don't think that Tyrion's is necessarily like Tyrion's and Jon's are necessarily the only acceptable winning strategies.
No, I mean, look, come on, they're gonna get married, right?
And
Jon
that's the
and
other
Dany
thing.
get married and they're king and queen and that's it. Like
It
that's
just makes sense. It's a great way. First of all,
I mean, it works. It works on paper.
in Iceland there was a study that first cousins
Oh, this again.
are the most, it's true,
I know,
it's true,
it is
but it was
true.
one study
Yeah.
and it's probably BS. But yeah, they
Jon
should
in
get married.
Iceland?
I think it would solve so many
It would.
problems.
It really would. It would solve all the problems of Westeros
Did she
forever and
promise-
ever.
She didn't promise herself to anyone. She was
no,
shopping
except
herself.
Jorah is gonna show up and then he'll be mad.
Oh,
Yeah, but he's
killed
been there
it.
before.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping when they got rid of the grayscale, they got rid of his fedora with him.
His fedora?
That's the whole like my lady.
Oh yeah,
He's
yeah.
Mr. Nice Guy.
Oh.
Friend zones Jorah forever.
All right, so we go back to Winterfell and we get the excellent battle scene between, or
Training?
sparring scene
Yes.
between Brienne and Arya,
I love it.
right?
know.
I mean, Pod continues to get his ass kicked and Arya's like, look, just don't fight her. Like that's the smart move. Don't get in combat with her, you're gonna lose.
Yeah,
Right?
right.
And then Arya's like, I wanna train with you, and Brienne says, no, no, no. It's just like, you beat the Hound. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And that was awesome.
It was, they had so much fun.
Yeah.
Like the smile on Brienne's face when she's like, oh, finally a worthy opponent. Oh,
That would be great in a closed session, not in the the round, so that everyone could look down on them and see, oh, Arya, this person who just showed up, all those people being Littlefinger. I don't want Littlefinger to look down and say, Arya is a great fighter now. So any plot that I could hatch that involves her still being just like this little petulant shit, he would have launched those kinds of plots before. And now he's like, oh, I have to take it into consideration because now I have the intelligence, and it's so annoying.
it is, but it's gonna make it more interesting and again, more satisfying when he dies. I know it's gonna happen. Just my belief.
So we see that great scene where Arya is like all but dancing around Brienne, and Brienne finally like kicks her down, right? And there's that great moment of like there's that great like mutual respect. And it ends with Arya almost having the knife at Brienne's throat, and Prince's like, "Who taught you that?" No one.
Which is another Odysseus reference.
Right? What?
Crazy.
Good times.
Yeah.
This giant cyclops.
I know.
Yeah. I also like when we go back to Dragonstone how what's his name? The Onion Knight.
Oh, Jorah.
Jorah.
Yeah.
No, not
Jorah. Davos.
That was like, no marriage.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Right?
That's cool.
Oh, I love
That
that.
Sounds enlightened.
Yeah.
There was some like gossip this episode. There's like, so what's with you and Grey Worm? And it's like, oh, what was the term that Davos used about? She's oh God, I wrote it down. Bear with me.
I like the beginning of that where he says to Jon, "So what do you think of her?"
Yeah.
And he says, "Who, Jon?" It's like, who do you think?
Yeah.
And then
I
he's
think
like,
you know.
"Hey, I think I might switch sides."
Yeah.
He's just like,
It was good hearts.
It was.
She's got a good heart.
Yeah.
It's like, who else got a good heart? Miss Sunday has got a good heart.
Right. No, but I love
You
it. Like,
know what I
no,
mean.
what I love the line that Davos does is when Jon says she's got a good heart, and he says, "Yeah, I saw you stare at that heart."
Yeah.
"Oh,
In
Davos
case you
is
didn't,
onto it."
in case you didn't read the chemistry in the cave.
And then we get a meeting that I didn't know I wanted, and I forgot.
Which was?
When Theon rolls up on
Oh,
shore.
yeah.
Oh my God, that was like, Jon's like, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna stab you,
Right.
I'm gonna destroy you, but wait, you saved Sansa's life. I'm holding back just for that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so good. And I love, Theon's like, Jon, what the, come on, you just got your ass whooped. You let your sister get taken away. You were like the weakest of the weaklings, and I don't care what happened to him when he was under Ramsay's control. He's like, Jon, like, no, drop that facade. You're not cool.
I'd kick you in the balls if you had him.
Yep.
But I love what they do. That's one of those things I didn't know that I wanted until I kind of thought that I wanted, what's his name, Theon to step up in the moment and die a noble death, but just that pattern that they have established and they go back to just sinks him lower and lower and lower, and it really keeps the stakes going on. Will Theon ever fully sack up, or is it one step forward, two steps back?
Yeah, that's what I like about it is every time you think Theon is close to redeeming himself, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? Or sometimes he kind of does, like he does with Sansa. So I like that we still at this point have a character that's still a wild card.
Yeah. No, it's good. That was a good scene. I like that. Also, again, I don't remember from the TV show stuff entirely. Does Jon know? He knows that Rickon was alive, not killed by Theon, but ultimately he saw him get killed by Ramsay. But does Jon know Bran is alive? I forget.
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think he does.
Yeah, so
because when Bran shows up, it was just like, oh my.
Yeah, I don't think he knows yet.
So I don't know if he still if he knows fully that Theon used 2 interchangeable kids,
right?
Or if he thinks, okay, so
We'll see.
that's just my question line out there. Yeah.
All right, so then we go back to the final scene, right?
My
Out in the
God.
fields. Yeah, where Lord Tarly is upset that people have to be warned before they get flogged.
I can't.
I wonder why Sam turned out the way he did.
Yeah.
Right?
You got
oh,
one.
we got stragglers.
I know.
Well, flogging will fix that. Like, okay, hold up.
It won't. It'll make them join the Night's Watch, and then they'll start reading. I don't know. Something terrible.
I look forward to that guy's death as well.
Yeah. But he's one of those. He's one of those
know.
crusty, battle-hardened battle axes that you just are like, he's gonna know something
I
in the
know.
moment of
Yeah.
the most of that ends up serving a side I'm not really on right now.
Yeah, and so then we see Jaime and Bronn talking to Dickon really quick, and it's like, "How's your first battle?" Didn't expect the smell.
You didn't learn that in fancy lad school.
Yeah, fancy lad school.
Yeah, they shit themselves when they die.
They don't teach you that in fancy lad school,
I learned that at 5.
Oh, it's so
right?
good.
So
That
beautiful.
was
The look
great.
on his face, that's a great
know.
casting
Yeah.
of that guy. He's just like this baby face,
Yeah.
like pretty boy.
Yeah.
And to watch him in a different way, be a baby face pretty boy in a way that maybe Jaime could have been had he not had to do all the stuff he had to do.
Yeah.
with his sister.
To his sister.
All right, so then we start. So we get the news that the gold is already locked up at King's Landing. They've got all the grain, and then we start hearing rumbling.
Oh, that's so good. And who notices rumbling? Bronn, right? Bronn's like,
because you hear the other horses, right?
Yikes.
And he knows something's up.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then they really hear something, and Jaime's like, "All right, put your shields up, and everybody get in a line." You're like, "Oh man, here it comes."
It's like,
I wanted to see it so bad.
Okay, so we see the Sea of the Dothraki come at them, and I'm like, this could go either way. This is gonna be a good battle, but it could go either way.
I thought it could because there was a line earlier in the episode where someone said to Daenerys, "You still have the biggest army." So I wanted to see what that would look like. Also, it's definitely at least been a while since I've seen the Dothraki in battle, and I don't think I've ever seen the kind of horsemanship.
No,
I think the budget constraints keep us from really being able to see that what Dany's got is basically the entire world's population of Dothraki.
Yes, but we also remember the world's biggest army comprises of the other members, which some of them are over in Castle Rock right now, and still some are at Dragonstone. So I think this was just the Dothraki army, which is large and obviously larger than what Jaime was commanding down in Highgarden. But I don't think it's not the entirety of her army.
Right. And not only has a culture based on combat, but also has bought into ideologically Daenerys, which are the two things you typically have to decide between.
Yeah.
But in this case, you don't.
Right. So they're true believers. They've grown up fighting. Oh, and they got a dragon.
Yes.
And they got a dragon.
Well,
and that dragon kills.
When Drogon comes over the horizon, and just like the look on like Jaime and Bronn and everyone's face, it's like
because they haven't seen it. Like we've seen them. I mean, it feels like I'm a proud parent. I've watched them grow up since they were eggs. But just to like, I live in a world without dragons. I live in a world without. Oh my God!
Oh no!
Also, the ways in which they present dragon murder.
Yes.
Skins boiling off.
People turn entirely to ash.
That was one of the best special effects I've seen. Like the fire, whatever, but seeing like just the ash blow away. It just, I was getting like scenes of like atomic bomb droppings and what you would imagine.
Right. You said Watchers earlier, and it made me think of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But like in that, it was just and that was like they wish they had that kind of grittiness and the practical fire effects.
There was so much practical effects. I was so pleased with that. With the carts going on fire and just the explosions.
That one scene later towards the end where you see that those two horses with the cart on fire. And it's like at the sad music, you're like,
no, here's what happened when we watched it. My fiance was like, she's pretty, she doesn't get affected by a lot of stuff, but this one, she's just so sad. It reminded me of like in Inconvenient Truth when the polar bear just starts swimming off into nowhere. But I had to say like, listen, at a certain point, those flames will make the wood on the wagon brittle enough where they'll pull it off. And then they'll be safe somewhere in the north or probably in Dorne where it's warm. Yeah. And they'll have a lee in which to graze.
No, those horses caught fire.
They're gonna die.
They're dead.
They're dead.
They're
gonna be
They're dead already.
Arby's sandwich.
They're dead already.
They're dead. Always already.
I'm waiting for the Arby's meme now about those horses.
Yeah. Arby's made from the horses in Game of Thrones, still attached, yoked to the carriage.
Oh, that's going to be their social media post. Oh my God.
So Bronn is given the task of Scorpion crossbow.
Right. Well, we see Tarly. We see Dickon Tarly save Jaime. Jaime spends a lot of time in this getting saved.
Yeah, he does.
Right. Like
really
he's about to get stabbed, and Dickon saves him. Right.
Yeah.
Jaime not quite the combatant with left-handed. Right.
Yeah.
And then he's like, Bronn, go get the Scorpion. Right. Because what am I gonna do?
But then we see him with his sword, like Jaime.
He needs a golden hook.
He really does.
It's a really practical.
He needs like in Willow where the guy had the sword hand, right? That's what he needs.
There we go.
Oh wow.
Right? He should just screw a sword onto his
that would
arm.
be perfect.
That's amazing. Yes. So that happens. Who are you pulling for? Drogon or Bronn?
I was full Bronn at that point.
Really?
Yeah, and I love dragons, I do. But in that moment, it was just like it was human versus like god nature, and I love Bronn so much.
Well, and before that, we get the scene where Jaime gets all those archers together and they shoot. It's just like, bink, nothing.
Yeah.
Nice shot, guys.
Because I also knew Drogon wasn't gonna die this scene. Because they wouldn't have brought Drogon out to die and then him become the Ice Dragon, which is total fan theory, but I'm on board with that. I think if it was one of the other two dragons, they might have died, but we're not gonna kill Drogon this early. I didn't think so.
Yeah, I didn't. I couldn't tell. I was like, is that Drogon? Probably. She would ride her favorite, and maybe there's another subplot.
Because I think we've only ever seen her really ride that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who rides the other two is another thing everybody asks.
Jon
gets on there.
Yeah, he gets a dragon.
Tyrion gets a small one.
Oh. Also speaking of Tyrion, like when he's overlooking the battle, like you forget how much Tyrion hates war. You know? And to see his people being slaughtered.
Right.
And to catch his brother, that was a great moment.
And that Dothraki's like, your people can't fight for shit.
I know. And that's like, oh God, who did we unlock?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's the
and then he's
Dothraki.
talking to his brother. He's like, "Run, you fucking idiot!"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Flee.
he does. He goes. He just goes straight toward danger. I was on. By the way, I was on the dragon side. I want to make absolutely clear. I was like, I'm fine, Bronn going. Is that weird? Does that make me heartless?
I mean,
no. I thought Bronn was gonna get it.
I thought he was gonna get it, but I thought he was gonna get a good shot into Drogon before he died. So it was kind of the best of both worlds. We didn't lose Bronn. We didn't lose a dragon.
Okay.
As far as we know. I mean, they did leave the ending very ambiguous.
Yeah, we're gonna lose
because
the dragon. There's no way, and we're gonna
no.
lose Drogon. It's the only one whose name we know.
So all right, so let's talk that out, right?
Yeah.
So we see Drogon and Dany flying towards the Scorpion, right? Drogon gets shot. And you think he's gonna go down and then pulls out at the last minute, blows up the Scorpion. Bronn jumps to safety, just barely. And then Jaime sees Dany trying to take the spear out of Drogon, right? First of all, that's a long dress to take in a battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she was.
I'm
But
just
she
saying.
was fine. I don't think she anticipated.
Pants.
Maybe she's. I
Maybe
think
pants?
it's split.
I feel like
yeah, it's split. Like I think
Maybe.
it's like a tunic, and she's got pants
Okay.
underneath.
I hope there's. Yeah, you don't want to step on it.
Just didn't seem practical.
Yeah, not as practical as Missandei's outfit.
It's gonna catch the wind. Practical as Missandei's outfit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, we see Jaime coming up with the spear and all right, who's he gonna kill? Is he after the dragon? Is he after Dany? What's he gonna
He's gonna kill her. He's got to
then-
Kingslayer.
Right before he's gonna get killed, Bronn tackles him.
person.
Yeah, I think it's. I
Pretty
believe
sure
it
it's
was
Bronn, right?
Yeah, and that's what threw me was that we were talking earlier about Bronn is a sellsword. He'll go whoever's going to win, but we actually saw him actively save Jaime's life for no.
Well, because he
other
lost his bag of money.
Yeah, but I don't. I think it was. I think it was in the moment he did an altruistic thing.
Right. Or did he? Because he tackles the guy wearing plate armor into super deep water.
Yeah, but I feel like
That water was surprisingly deep.
Yeah, I didn't
quick deep.
Yeah, and I forgot how heavy plate armor. What?
Apparently, so
That's
did
it.
Bronn.
I know.
I did the same thing.
So
I was
did
like,
Bronn.
oh, they're gonna just swim.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And that's
oh no.
Such a good image.
So do we think Jaime's done?
Oh God, no.
No,
No.
there's no way he's done.
No.
He's
That would
just gonna.
be- Yeah.
That's all it takes.
I don't know. That's tough with one hand.
Or maybe
practice.
Yeah, or
It's
maybe
tough to
draw off with
Dany
one
saves him because she wants to use him.
As a hostage,
Yeah,
she's
it's
smart
like
enough.
Maybe.
or just as an execution point.
I feel like those are the two options,
Yeah.
right? She's not gonna kill him because too many people in this show say like, you know how valuable he was alive. So if
Also,
she
have we seen Daenerys actively kill anyone outside of Erder? Like, has she?
She said Dracarys to.
That's true. Oh,
so a
yeah,
bunch of
okay.
people.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
So
I'm
a
trying
whole
to
bunch
think
of
with her own
Lannister
hand.
soldiers.
I'm just trying to think with her own hand. Yeah. No.
I feel like they're gonna find him, pull him up,
Yeah.
and then there's be this, and that would be very rewarding from an audience perspective to see the reunion of Bronn and Tyrion and Jaime together in a circle talking.
I want to see somebody grab Jaime's hand and that's all that comes up.
Oh.
And that's how he gets away.
Oh my God. Or he just dies
Or
that
he
way.
sinks.
But what if Jaime and Daenerys end up liking each other? She's blonde. Just saying.
It's a good question.
Just saying. They're not
Yeah,
related.
I don't know.
Just-
She
I know.
hates Lannister so
Yeah,
much.
it's true.
He killed us or whatever.
Oh yeah, he did kill her dad. But he kind of deserved it.
It was her dad, yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. Oh my God, but okay. And now let's talk about just the image of Jaime riding toward and then just turning into frame so beautifully is Drogon just going like, let me clear my throat. It was so amazing. Just and there was someone in the office who watched the hacked version and was like, it wasn't that good an episode. And I think he was just messing with me. He's like, no, not a lot happens. And that's, I think,
that's bullshit.
It should be said that it is a lower quality video, I'm told.
It's 480p.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really like.
Well, of course nothing happens. It's too pixelated.
And there's a time code over it. I pulled it up just to look at it, and I was like, I can't even do this. This is so bad. It was such garbage quality.
Yeah, so don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't.
I just had to see.
Dracarys.
And it was, it was worth it. It's worth it to the full HD experience.
Yeah.
All right,
Also, I'm glad they didn't go with the obvious shot of the arrow going into his mouth. That would have been hokey.
Right, yeah. I've seen that too many times. I don't know where.
Well, and it's interesting because now, from a tactical standpoint, Dany now knows that there's a weapon. So I think next time maybe we see all the dragons take the field because they need covering fire. Get it? Covering fire?
Wow, I was too focused on like, I didn't realize covering fire. Yes, that was me just being like, okay, so how would that play out?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't
Dad
know.
jokes, dad jokes. All right, so next week we're gonna get more, what do we think we're gonna see next week? Lots.
I don't even know.
Yeah, the previews were so just, they didn't give away anything for once. So I hope we see some more Arya. That's all I want. I want to see Arya and Littlefinger. I want to see that go down.
I feel like
Arya killing Littlefinger.
Yes. No. Oh God, no. Oh, gross.
Disgusting.
That's
you said
just
Arya,
especially with the word finger in there.
All right.
Yeah, I'm done. We're leaving.
All right,
Bye.
that's it. So check with us next week. We'll be back. More Game of Thrones. Thanks for joining us.